How you doing, guys? Welcome back to Coffee and Juice. If it's your first time tuning into the channel, I am a nomadic traveler that lives in Thailand most of the year, and then the remainder of the year, I find myself in the contiguous United States, and sometimes I find myself in places like Turks and Caicos. So I'm out here on a work trip. I'm doing something called a buddy detail, if you're in the world of protection. And what I wanted to do is I've been out here about 3 or 4 times. So I kind of wanted to give you an overview of what Turks and Caicos can be. And also there's a reason I'm doing this is that lately it's been getting a lot of negative vibes and a lot of negative press. So what we'll do is we'll break it down. So stick around. So when you mention Turks and Caicos to anybody, either it's a business trip, a family get-together, or you're a nomadic traveler such as myself, people automatically assume that you're rich if you're coming to Turks and Caicos. So the reason why people will say that to you is going to be the following. So if you speak to anybody, like I said, the automatic assumption is going to be that you got a ton of money if you're going to come out here. So the reason why they say that to you is that you have to be mindful, and this is probably the most important thing, because if you follow the channel, I'm going to watch your wallet, and I could be a little frugal at times. So there's 3 things you need to consider if you're going to come out here. And I'll do it like this. Here's the formula. It's going to be 10, 12 plus tip. So there is a governmental tax. There is a service tax that initially is going to land you at 22%. So besides everything being very expensive out here to begin with, what they're going to do to you is that they're going to hit you overall with 22%. And why I add the tip part in there is that if you don't tip out here, they're going to look at you kind of sideways, and they're going to be like, how dare you not tip me? So like, as an example, if something is a $300 dinner out here, you could basically do the math percentage wise. So that's why people assume that this place is so expensive, and they could be right. So now I also want you to consider this when it comes to minding your wallet. So in recent years, Turks and Caicos has gained popularity. This kid Drake's down here, whatever he's doing, with other celebrities who have property. So just to get here, I'll give you an example. I'll go back into the archives. And remember, I'm a New York-based guy. So if you want to fly, it's about a $700, $800 hit on like a JetBlue if you're going to come out here. Now, I stayed at the Palms. I stayed at the Oasis. I stayed at the Ritz-Carlton. So now, usually doing 4 to 5 days down here. So just to kind of, if you have other things to do with your day, you got to realize that you're coming out here, depends on how many people, that you're looking at 10 grand easy. I was at dinner with the principal the other night, and we saw a table of 7 people with one, father, and we said to, each other, this guy's taking a very, very heavy hit at dinner, because once again, it's probably a $2,000 dinner out here in Turks and Caicos. So now, Turks and Caicos, on a positive note, I've done a lot of traveling. If you watch the channel, probably has the best beach that you'll ever see in your life. Unless maybe you fly all the way out to Maldives, it could be comparable. Some people like Aruba, but in my personal opinion, you are basically never going to find water this clear ever again. So just consider that we talk about a heavy price tag is that you get what you pay for. So let's also get into delineating the beaches, and I'll make you understand that a little bit. So I previously mentioned, the Ritz-Carlton, the Palms, and then there's a hotel called the Oasis. So now when you're out there booking, your lodging for your trip, and the reason why I go over this is that you guys are going to be spending a lot of money. This might be a bucket list trip for you guys So I don't want you guys to make a mistake because you may never be coming back to this region. So there's Grace Bay. Grace Bay is where you want to be. But understand that there's also something called Bite Beach. Now, Bite Beach, which houses the Palms, the Ritz-Carlton, is a private beach. Now, that's only designated if you are someone who is in the hotel, that is your beach. Now, if you go to the Oasis side, and also where the condos might be, you won't see it often. But if you do like a condo Airbnb, you can use Grace Bay. You can use this particular beach. So now also on the Grace Bay non-private sector, there's a lot of boats that come in and out for the island tours. There's the water sports. So if you want to be completely isolated and peaceful and quiet, where you'll have to stay is the Palms, the Ritz-Carlton. All of this is going to be much more peaceful, but also keep in mind, much more expensive for you, usually, if that's where you want to stay. So initially, when I was coming down here for work, when I got contracted in to do the detail, I was ready to wreck Turks and Caicos. Because if you go on the internet, you'll see a lot of negative feedback from Turks and Caicos. So now the question is I basically just played it up as it being one of the nicest places in the world, the most palatial. So let me explain where this comes from, this negativity. So where the negativity will, present itself, and it's going to be the most horrible part of your trip. It doesn't matter if you're going business class, it doesn't matter. It's the airport when you hit Turks and Caicos, or Provinciales is the more technical term for this region, is that if you're a little bit older and you're tuning in, it's not like a regular, disembark on a plane. Is that basically you're going down these metal steps. And once again, if you have injuries or you're a little older, it could be a little cumbersome or difficult to get down the stairs. Now, I'm going to offer up a pro tip, because this is also going to be the negativity part of it, is that getting through customs, how can I say this? It could be really, really long. And also whoever you get at the immigration counter could be maybe not the nicest. And that's where the negative vibe or attitude that people speak about is you're kind of treated a little bit like shit. And if you're coming to Turks and Caicos, no matter who you are, you're dropping some serious coin. But for those of you out there that understand the other vectors of my channel, and sometimes you guys ask me about, hey, can I bring my super supplements down there or medicine? Here's my recommendation. When you go down to Turks and Caicos, anything questionable, you should not be bringing. I'll explain to you why. So a little bit of the pro tip is that when you get your luggage, you're going to notice there's somebody standing with a clipboard. They usually be wearing something navy from the indigenous region. And what will happen is they're basically going to profile you or measure you, meaning could this person have something illegal on them? Because what they're going to do is they're going to funnel you to the customs line, and the customs line, they're going through all your bags. So now my recommendation is to avoid this is if you grab the earliest flight with the earliest landing to the destination, it didn't look like they were set up too much to go through a full kind of reaming of your luggage. So keep in mind, just to reiterate, do not bring anything suspect. It has to have a prescription. If not, they're going to ask you. And once again, you're coming to another country. Now, I'm not saying the country's corrupt, but if you have something that you're not supposed to, that might be another $1,000 out of your pocket. And also the negativity is going to come from, if you've been paying attention to the media, if you have something in your bag that you should not, you might end up doing time out here. Like there was a poor guy. I don't know if he was a guy who was a shooter, he's coming from a range, or whoever he was. He had one bullet in his vest, and they collared him for, X amount of time. I don't really know the situation. Once again, in the comments below, you can kind of, update the crew if you want. So just keep in mind when you come through, which is the worst part, is do not have anything you're not supposed to. So pro tip number 2 is going to be, once again, airport related. So you got through customs. What you should do beforehand, you get on the phone wherever you are staying. If it's a hotel, condo might be a little different, is that you are going to get transportation sent to you. Because if you don't, what happens is that when you walk out of the Turks and Caicos airport, there's a dispatch, right? So the dispatch is going to assign you, you're going to be in a van with other people. But if you wanted to save a little more money, is that they're going to charge you around $40 a head just to get in that cab and go to your hotel. If you do it the other way, which means prior, you reserve transportation, will be a lot cheaper. Now, also keep in mind, when I talk about Turks and Caicos, I'll give you another example. There's a restaurant, I think it's called Rock House, that I went to. So me and one other went to the restaurant from the hotel. So it was $60 one way and $60 back just for a 5-minute ride. So once again, what I'm trying to let you in on is that there's tourist traps out here. So what I recommend per se is going to be basically be mindful of your transportation and what's going on with that. Also, now people on bikes, no respect for a vlogger in Turks and Caicos. So also keep that in mind is that what I would do, depending on who you guys are, and once again, I err on the side of caution, is that you should look at your venue or where you're staying, and they usually will have a couple of restaurants that are laid out in your hotel for you. So I hope you got something out of the information. I'm down here on a work trip. I figured I would offer up some information. Once again, I promised you guys the van life stuff. I had a couple of issues of putting the van together. Well, give me a week or so. And when I head back to New York, we're going to roll into van life. So look, have a great day. Like I said, hope you got something out of it.